Barry, Dublin has won the 2024 European Capital of Smart Tourism for Innovation and Sustainability. It's really exciting. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, of course. So Dublin's absolutely delighted this year to be the official European Capital of Smart Tourism. And just to explain a little bit about what that means, smart tourism can kind of be a bit of a misnomer in the way that it insinuates that it's all about technology. But really what this is the designation is a recognition of destinations which are striving toward best practice in multiple categories, which include not only digitalization, but also accessibility, sustainability, and culture. So to win this award, this year we were up against 29 other cities across Europe. You need to be hitting high marks in your bid across not just digitalization projects, but also you need to be top of the table in terms of sustainability, in terms of culture, community, and in terms of heritage as well. So it's a really, really comprehensive evaluation of a destination. And we've been on this journey for about 4 years now, putting together this kind of a pitch. So for us, it's a great recognition of not only our work in DCC, but this was a collective bid on behalf of Team Dublin. So we partnered with 40 organizations on this bid, including the likes of Dublin Airport, Epic, incredible tourism assets across the city. So it's a real recognition of where Dublin stands today.
Yeah, it's a great accolade. And you mentioned 29 other cities bid for it. So who is the adjudicator of it, or how does it work? Is there a written submission and then a kind of a pitch? Are we talking sort of a Dragon's Den or the Apprentice style? Was there something like that at the tail end of last year that you came up trumps with?
Yeah, it's a pretty intense process, to be honest. So it's an award which is given by the European Commission and the European Commission Tourism Department. There are other awards like it, which you'd be familiar with, like the European Capital of Culture.
Yeah.
And these are, extremely rigorous bidding processes. So this year we were up against 29 other cities. Cities that have won this in the past would include the likes of, Helsinki, Gothenburg, Berlin, these kind of cities that we would look up to as maybe models of sustainable tourism. And so this year, we were shortlisted. So out of 29 cities, we were shortlisted down to 6, which included Cork. Which is a huge, impressive piece of work for Cork as well. And then San Sebastian, Genoa, other leading cities as well. So it really is, the process is quite rigorous. You put together a 10,000 word bid, submitted for selection, and then they knock that down to 6 cities. And then those cities all go to Europe, all go to Brussels in November to pitch in front of the European jury. So tourism.
I'd say that was nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it was terrifying, and I'd done it once before, so I'd been kind of used to it.
Okay.
And I've been in the room, and the room is the room. It's all the microphones in front of the tables. It's the big European Parliament room, and it's very, very intimidating.
And did it help that you had done it before and weren't successful? Insofar as, did you get feedback, and did that help, if you like, improve your bid this time around?
Yeah, massively. So we bid for this in 2021 and we were shortlisted again, and we went to Brussels again and presented, and we had tremendous feedback from that bid. They give you, they really break it down and score it for you very well. So we were under no illusions when we came back to Dublin in 2021, what we needed to do for the next bid. And, we're talking about extremely things that are quite difficult to do. So where we fell down as a destination in 2021 was in the areas of culture, accessibility particularly, and sustainability in a quite a big strategic way.
Yeah.
We actually took an entire year out of bidding just to be able to implement those changes. And some of those changes, I suppose, to take sustainability as an example, were, implementing real strategic policy stuff. So going from, kind of having no opinion about sustainability in tourism to signing the Glasgow Declaration.
Yeah.
Integrating the Sustainable Development Goals into the new tourism strategy, and then pursuing recognized European accreditation as well. Things like that. We were able to show the next time we went in, we had those under our arm. We literally, our tourism strategy was available the day before we went to Brussels, and hot off the press, we brought 8 of them into the room with us.
Yeah.
And we gave them
Yeah.
to the jury before we presented, and that was a huge statement of intent for us. As you know, we've been away, but
Yeah.
we've come back now, and we've
Yeah.
come up with all of the learnings from the last pitch. And very much our pitch this year was about, here's how we've learned from this process,
Yeah.
and here's how we've led strategic change within the
Yeah.
destination.
And some of those changes that you implemented, like the Glasgow Declaration you mentioned, and your strategy for tourism, which I think goes out to 2028 or so. They're not things that can be done willy-nilly. They have to be thought through. You probably have to take the DCC councillors as well as the executive through it. There has to be kind of broad buy-in, doesn't there?
Yeah, and it raises this great question about how do you like, so for example, Dublin City Council is a very large organization, has about 6,000 people working for it. Strategically, in terms of policies, it's very big. So it's like an oil tanker, right? It's very difficult to turn. So if you're interested in instilling kind of sustainability, I was very clear from the start that it was going to have to come from the top down, not just from within my team of 5 people. And so that took time. So to get an organization like Dublin City Council to sign a UN, designation took a year.
This is the Glasgow Declaration.
The Glasgow Declaration on Sustainable Tourism. That took a year of bringing it through various policy committees and double checking, triple checking. And then eventually we signed it. Richard Shakespeare, our CEO, signed it in August. And we were the first city to sign it. And I'm not surprised, because it's possibly easier for a small, maybe micro business to sign it, but for an organization of 6,000 people with hundreds of buildings, you're talking about serious commitment there.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm after is serious strategic commitment from top down. And
as you say, serious commitment, because you've won the award now, but now you have to, if you like, deliver on it. Dublin is the European capital of smart tourism for the next 12 months. It gives us great kudos, but also gives us a great opportunity to differentiate ourselves, to international markets. But also we have to, we collectively, but also you driving it, from Dublin City, have to deliver on the kind of criteria.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I kind of would have mentioned, traditionally there was 2 capital designations every year. There was a twinning. So you had this situation where, for example, last year Seville won, but also Paphos won as well. So you had this twinning, and in that twinning, maybe like a dilution of the spotlight. But for this year, for whatever reason, the European Commission decided there's only going to be one winner of this award. But what it means for us is that, and collectively the us of Dublin, is that the spotlight is absolutely on us. People are looking toward Dublin. Industry and tourism leaders from around Europe are now looking at Dublin and saying, in a way, maybe waking up a little bit, saying, this is the first I've heard of Dublin not only being a great place to visit, but also a leader in tourism development. What are they doing that I need to be paying attention to? And so very much our job collectively, particularly in Dublin City Council, to make sure that we are putting on the best designation that we possibly can. And of course, demonstrating that, my ambition here is that we can kind of leave it's a lovely high watermark to leave behind the old traditional tourism development model and firmly embed everything we've been talking about for the last 24 months in terms of sustainable tourism development. And that's my ambition for the year, is really that we will look back maybe broadly on 2024 on initiatives like this and other wonderful initiatives that our colleagues are running all over Ireland, and say, that year was a turning point for sustainable tourism.
I think Dublin City are very much leaders in it, and by the way, so are the other local authorities in the broader Dublin region. So Barry, what's it practically going to look like over the next sort of 12 months in Dublin?
So when you bid for the European capital designation, you submit a program of, here's what we will do if we win. And there's a couple of key elements. We pitched our bid very much on the theme and principle of collaboration. and collaboration, both in terms of bringing our colleagues in Ireland on this smart tourism sustainable journey, and then sharing that with our colleagues overseas in Europe. There's a really strong theme in the European Union, obviously, for connection and collaboration. So we really leaned into that this year. So practically what it means for us is, on a basic level, it's things like media, PR, videos. But then there's this much deeper rooted aspect to it, which is we will be physically bringing tourism leaders from across Europe to Dublin this year multiple times to have workshops on sustainability, accessibility, and digitization. And we'll be showing them around Dublin throughout the year as well, and having them meet the likes of yourself, other industry leaders, to talk about the importance of sustainability and collaboration. So from a practical point of view, this year, I mean, for us, it's really about getting face to face with other destinations and learning. That's what we have always gotten out of this process leading up to this bid, and that's something what we really want to be a role model for collaboration in tourism now going forward.
Yeah. So if Dublin is now the best in class for sustainability and so on, you want to share those insights, share that knowledge, show how you sort of got there, as well as obviously maintain the standards you've achieved.
Yeah, very much so. And the sharing definitely goes both ways. I mean, one of the reasons we are in this position is because we learned so much by studying and talking to other destination leaders. Our tourism strategy is like reading a compendium of tourism strategies from 40 different destinations, like the likes of Helsinki, Gothenburg, Copenhagen, all these kind of sustainable destinations. So it very much goes both ways. We're looking to share what it is we do best in Dublin, but also very much looking to learn what we could be doing better from the best destinations around Europe. So yeah, the sharing very much goes both ways in 2024.
Could we be doing more kind of nationally from a local authority perspective in terms of dialing up tourism? Because we've talked before about the millions of euro that local authorities right around the country spend on tourism product and tourism infrastructure and tourism assets. And maybe sometimes they don't do enough to shout about what they're doing, and maybe equally the people, the population of Ireland, don't realize the importance of local authorities to tourism.
You're absolutely right, and I've worked in tourism development and tourism marketing on the state side, and it was only when I really moved into the local authority side by working with Dublin City Council that I saw just the massive amount of tourism investment that kind of went unnoticed.
Yeah.
This, for example, like Dublin City Council is currently building 3 museums.
Yeah.
And that's just what they do, it's kind of unspoken about, it's in the background, it's happening, and they'll open in the next few years. And that's being mirrored across the country on a local authority level. Yeah. And it's very challenging because we have this wonderful model in Ireland where we have our state agencies do a brilliant job of selling the tourism image and the tourism promise. And then that promise has to be delivered, throughout a very complicated model of tourism stakeholders, which includes state agencies, local authorities, tourism industry, OPW, you could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the local authority level is where there is a little bit of a missing link, both in terms of strategic funding and tourism strategy, because every local authority in the country is obliged to have a tourism strategy. And then we obviously, on top of that, we have VDPs as well. So there is definitely this huge opportunity, and it is happening at local authority level, because you are seeing it, like you're seeing local authorities step up to the plate around the country in a big way. But there's this huge, I think the biggest opportunity in Irish tourism at the moment is in local authority level. I think there's just so much capital and so much investment happening there at the moment that's where we can really kind of turn the dial at the moment.
Last question is just about the residents of Dublin. Does Dublin City Council survey them or ask them what they think about tourism or visitors? Because I think the best ambassador for Dublin is Joe Public.
Absolutely.
So we have to make sure that we bring them along with us and that they see all the good stuff about tourism that we know, the economic issues, the jobs, the exchequer returns. And that's important, but also kind of it adds richness to a city, we feel. But do residents think similarly?
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a great question. And I think that when we talk about the sustainability opportunity in this year, I think one of the key aspects of it is, you know, Dublin and Ireland has not gotten to that place of over tourism. We're
Mm.
not the Amsterdams, we're not the Barcelonas, we haven't yet experienced that level of kickback. And there is, and there has been, some commentary about hotel development and that kind of thing in the media. And we might have had suppositions about how our residents felt. So last year, Dublin City Council decided to do this huge tourism survey of its residents. And we
Okay.
asked 6,000 residents 32 questions on tourism sentiment. Um, and we were extremely surprised at what we got back. And what we got back,
Surprised in a good way.
surprised in a great way, yeah. So we benchmarked our questions against the Fáilte Ireland Towers survey and questions other destinations had asked their citizens. So we had a benchmark of like, how are we doing against Barcelona, Copenhagen, and what we found is that we have our residents are very, very knowledgeable about how important tourism is to the city. They're extremely knowledgeable about it. And they're also some of the happiest residents in regards to tourism anywhere in Europe. So about 92% of people who live in Dublin are positive about tourism in the city.
That's great.
It's about 2% higher than you get in Copenhagen, which is very, very good. But that said, that is, as you mentioned, it's a huge asset. Our residents are always coming back in tourism surveys as one of the reasons to visit. But that is a potentially finite resource if we do not take care of it and if we are not cognizant of the part that they play. And for a long time, because of the way tourism developed, it was segmentation and it was an othering of the visitor. It was very much a focus on international, domestic, culturally curious, social energizer. You can go on and go on. And the local kind of got pushed out of that conversation. And so now what you're seeing within the conversation about sustainability is the local very much being brought back into the conversation in tourism and recognized for the value they play as a tour guide, as a host, as an initiator, as a welcomer to the city and to Ireland. So it's another excellent aspect of sustainability that we're now finally catching up to the importance of the resident and the local within the tourism conversation.
Yeah, great. No, it's great to finish on that positive, and many congratulations, Barry, to you and the Dublin City Council team for winning the award. And I know it's going to be a very, very busy year ahead. So let's keep the visitors coming to Dublin, both the domestic market and international visitors, because it's absolutely critical to Irish tourism success. Thanks so much, Barry.
Thank you so much, Owen.